Oh my goodness, a Charizard deck profile. It's been a while since they've given us a Charizard card. What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the first deck profile out of Obsidian Flames. My favorite deck to play, the one that I think will perform the best out of Obsidian Flames, and the one that I've already got my pre-orders down for. If you enjoy the content, be sure to let me know down below. If you don't like certain cards in the deck, let me know what you would play in this 60. And with that said, let's dive right in. So we are playing 4 copies of the 60 hit point Charmander. So, I know what you're thinking. Brandon, where's the 70? Lost box, brr, this deck's bad, brr. I know, there is a 70 hit point one coming in 151. You're gonna hear that a few times throughout this video. 151 definitely helps this deck. So right now it's about laying the groundwork until we get our inevitable upgrade. This is also the adorable Charmander in the ETB promo from the window staring at that Pidgey. That is my excitement for this deck. I am patiently waiting on the other side of the glass to be able to pick up these cards, play them on TCG Live, and potentially at local League Cups and Challenges. We are playing 1 copy of Charmeleon. I am opting for the Pokemon Go one. It has a nice attack for 4 energy that does 100. I know 4 energy, don't worry, not really a problem. Because if you are even the least bit familiar with the Charizard from Pokemon Go. So it has an ability. Each basic fire energy attached to your Pokemon provide 2 fire instead of 1. You can only apply 1 Burn Brightly ability at a time. So that makes every single attachment worth double. That increases the efficiency of every single turn attachment. Yes, it is on a stage 2, which I guess is a small trade-off, but that's not bad. So 2 attachments on this thing. Flare Blitz hits for 170. The Charmeleon hits for 100. We do have some decent attacks there, and I think that's really worth noting. If you're not a fan of playing 2 of them, don't worry, that's only a temporary holder until next month. There is a Charizard EX in 151 that very well can take the spot of one of those Charizard. However, we are here to talk about the face of the deck, the thumbnail of the deck. Probably the best Charizard I've ever seen, Charizard EX. This card is exciting, this card is phenomenal, it feels like a cheat code once it's on the board. Charizard EX is a dark Pokemon. It is not your conventional fire type, it is a Terra type. So it has the protection as long as it's on the bench, it takes no damage from your opponent's attacks. So that's not bad, it's built-in Manaphy. But the ability is where this gets silly, mixed with the dark typing. When you evolve this Pokemon from your hand to one of your Pokemon, search your deck for 3 basic fire energy and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. The payoff for a stage 2 is finally here. This is better than Welder on a supporter. So when you get that stage 2 out there, you're always asking, where is my payoff? What is my value? Well, you're getting 3 frickin' attachments right off the bat. And then if we do have a Pogozard in play, which is not that hard to get going with this deck, right? The EX is the engine. The Pogo is, you know, more or less luxury, the bonus. We can have 6 attachments off of those 2 abilities there, and then we still have our attachment for turn. So we can have 8 energy on the board as early as turn 2. But what else does it do? So for 2 fire energy, oh wow, we have an extra energy to set up elsewhere. What's not to love about this card? Burning Darkness does 180 damage and 30 more for each prize card your opponent has taken. So as the game progresses, this thing gets stronger. This is Galarian Moltres from Evolving Skies. This is, I think, Zamazenta from Brilliant Stars, where it does more based on the number of prize cards taken. This thing can hit up to 310 damage, no, 330 damage if they have 1 prize remaining. So this thing can knock itself out at the end game if you need to. So this becomes your beat stick, but starts as your acceleration engine. So I'm gonna stop ranting there, but how do we deal with that during the early stages of the game? Because neither of those Charizards hit very hard. We are going to keep on going with our Charizard-centric theme and play 2 copies of the Charizard V from Brilliant Stars / Crown Zenith. Does it have any notable attacks? Not really. 180 for 4 or 2 with Pogo is not too bad, but we're not here for that. We are here for the V-Star. So the V-Star is an efficient means of attacking on a stage 1. I always think it's good to have an extra option, something with a little bit of tank ability here, and it is fire typing, so it does hit anything that's weak to it. But for 3 energy, Explosive Fire does 130 plus 100 more if it has any damage counters on it. That is not a problem. We can still set that up. So 230 in the early stages of the game. After your opponent has taken 2 prizes, all of a sudden the EX now surpasses that attack, but we need something in the meantime. So we can apply pressure again as early as turn 2. But card is not done there. It has a V-Star power in Star Blaze. So for 4 energy, remember all of these attack costs can be manipulated through the EX's ability, through our additional means of attachments, and our Pokemon Go Charizard. For 4 energy, it does 320 damage and discards 2 energy. If the Pogo is in play, That's 2 energy attachments, and you only have to discard 1. So that is very, very efficient. Again, I've set it up. I've had a lot of fun with it. I think this deck has a lot of options. There's a lot of Charizard going on here, and I think that is great. But we do have to talk about some support Pokemon, so I have to kind of delve away from the strengths of the V-Star. There's a few notable Pokemon I'll talk about towards the end of the video, but I'm gonna kind of leave those until the end. We're playing 2 copies of Bidoof. It has its own bench barrier built in, so as long as it's on the bench, prevent all damage done to it. And World Champion Bibarel, Industrious Incisors. Once during your turn, you may draw a card until you have 5. During the late games, the mid games, as we're playing Iono and taking prizes and our opponent is taking prizes, this gets stronger and stronger. So it prevents a late game Roxanne, late game Iono. I do love this engine for a lot of decks, and I think as we hit the next rotation, this will see even more play. Playing 1 copy of Radiant Greninja, which plays into a couple other factors. So it turns our single fire energies into a discard draw 2. Do we attack with it? No, so we're not gonna focus on that. But discard an energy, draw 2 cards is a ridiculous ability, and Radiant Greninja is by far the best out of all Radiant Pokemon printed. And last but not least, we are playing 1 copy of Bench Barrier Manaphy. So unfortunately, the Charmanders don't have the bench protection that the EX has. So in the early stages, we still have to protect them from attacking Radiant Greninjas or Rapid Strike Urshifu. We have to still protect them. So Manaphy is in here for that reason. If they ever print a bench barrier Charmander, then Manaphy is out of a job. And our energy count, we're just gonna quickly get these out of the way. We are playing 10. So let's space those out right on the bottom there. Do I think we need more? Not particularly. Everything is very efficient in our attachments, and we do have means of acceleration on the board through non-supporter based acceleration. So what's not to like? 10 is pretty much a sweet number, and it plays in enough that we can discard a few with Greninja, but still have plenty to attack. The next thing I'm going to cover is our supporter line. This is pretty much a cookie cutter supporter line. I've been experimenting with other stuff, but I'm not going to bring you my experimental stuff right off the bat because I don't think putting you in the wrong direction from the get-go is worth it. So we're playing 4 Iono. Each player shuffles their hand and puts it on the bottom of their deck. If either player puts any cards at the bottom, they draw a card for each of the remaining prize cards. Early game, it's a tuck your resources, draw 6. Late game, it is put them down to 1 or 2. And for us, Bibarel will help make sure that we are always getting a top hand of 5. We are playing 3 copies of Professor's Research, easily the second best or the best supporter in the game, depending on who you ask. And then we are lastly playing 2 copies of Boss. I've experimented with Raihan, I've experimented with Kindler. Boss, however, is an essential. But for any flex supporters, they will come with time and they will come as the meta develops. Right now, we just kind of want to hit big numbers, kill the things that we want, and go from there. If we want to get techie, we want to get supporty, we want to do anything like that, I totally get that, but we're not quite there. As a metagame develops, so will your list. But right now, you got to have a place to start. And of course, we are playing 3 copies of the Stadium Magma Basin. So 1, it serves as a Path to the Peak bump, which allows our Greninja and our Charizard EX to do the things they want to do. It also allows more energy acceleration. So anytime you drop an energy to your discard pile, Magma Basin says once during your turn, you can attach a fire energy from your discard pile to one of your benched fire Pokemon. If you do this, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. That plays into Explosive Fire. That and Radiant Greninja turns a single fire energy attachment into a draw 2 cards, accelerate 1 energy. So pretty much 2/3 of a welder, which was the most broken supporter that I've ever played with. That's a pretty decent, 1-2 punch, turning all those basic fire energies into more useful cards. And of course, we're going to talk about the backbone of the deck, the consistency. How do we set this filthy fun thing up? We are playing a necessary evil, in my opinion. Eventually it'll be gone, but we're not quite there yet. Or Battle VIP Pass, so you can only use this card on the first turn of the game. If you use it, search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon, put them onto your bench. You can play multiple throughout the turn. After the first turn, they're dead cards. We just need an explosive amount of setup. We need at least 2 Charmanders and a Bidoof. That's where you want to close your board. In particular situations, you'll want to get the Charizard V first turn, just enough to put something on the board, even as bait. Manaphy, we might even need that. So typically we want to see 3 or 4 spots on our bench right away. VIP is just a little more than a Nest Ball, but time will come and Nest Ball will take its place. We're playing 4 copies of Ultra Ball, arguably the best search card in the game. Discard 2 cards and search for any Pokemon. Gets rid of those pesky passes, gets rid of those basic fire energies that are sitting in our hand clogging it up, or any Pokemon we don't need for a particular matchup. So we can search for everything in the deck. There's not much more to say about it. It is a very, very good card, and you should not be considering anything less than 4. 4 copies of Rare Candy. So we are playing a Stage 2 deck. You've seen Gardevoir get away with 2 or 3. That don't fly here. We want to see our stage 2s. We don't want to see our stage 1s. There's no value from our stage 1. We will go 4 rare candy to get at least 2 of our stage 2s throughout a run of the game. So 4 is always enough because we will pitch the odd one. We will not see one of them. 4 is just max. You play it, consistency, trust me. You'll thank me later. We are playing 3 copies of Nest Ball. So I did briefly mention it. Again, we are so desperate to set up. If we do not set up, we are screwed. So playing 3 Nest Ball and 4 VIP Pass and 4 Ultra Ball guarantees, or almost guarantees, that we are going to get into the game in some way, shape, or form. So search your deck for a basic Pokemon, reveal it, and put it onto your bench. Shuffle your deck. You can play that throughout the game. We can reestablish Charmanders, reestablish Manaphys, reestablish anything. Huge card throughout the run of a game, and it's burnable as long as you have a free bench spot. Then we play 4 one-ups, and I'll explain why. So I've been running 1 Escape Rope. Escape Rope is nice because it's like a pseudo boss. It forces your opponent to move their active out of the way and your active out of the way. So it's a double switch. We're playing 1 copy of Switch just so we can pivot around. We don't have any free retreaters. There was nothing that seamlessly fit into the list. You can make arguments, totally get it. But again, Switch is just a nicer card. We are playing 1 copy of Super Rod. So shuffle up to any combination, 3 energy or Pokemon, or any combination of both into your deck. Sometimes it's fire energy. A lot of the times it's additional Charmanders that had to soak the hit early so we could carry on with our game plan. We're gonna lose a prize early and we're gonna lose a Charmander early. Have to be mentally prepared for that. So having Super Rod at least helps with that because you're not gonna go just through exactly 4 Charmanders. They're not all gonna safely make their way up to Charizard. So having a Super Rod helps cover it. Speaking of, we will play 1 Hisuian Heavy Ball, and there's 2 arguments for it. 1, I'm notorious for not checking my prize card. Bad, Brandon. It happens, human mistakes. And 2, Charmanders will always seem to find their way into those prizes. Those pesky little lizards seem to just venture off into the prize cards, never to be seen again. I've seen 3 of them in there. Hell, I've seen all 4 of them in there. This is my 60. This is my starting point. Hilariously enough, I've already pre-ordered every single card not named Charizard EX, and it'll be here by the end of the week. A few suggestions and closing notes that I would recommend at least experimenting with or picking up before they spike in price. There's a Delphox V. For 3 energy, it does 120 to the active and 120 to the bench, but you have to put 2 energy into the lost zone. If Pogo Charizard's active, it's only 1 attachment has to go to the lost zone, so that's not too bad. Again, more value from the Pogo. The other one I consider, Entei V. You really need to hit on the first turn of the game. I'm gonna say no, but some people like it. Again, understandable. Depending on how specific you want to be with your math, we have the options of Choice Belt, we have the options of Medicham. So if you feel like you're falling 10 or 20 damage shy consistently, I would consider either a Choice Belt to hit those pesky Vs or Medicham to clean up. Because again, a Pogo Charizard 1 attachment becomes 2. Medicham is just a quick slap down, take 2 prizes, keep rolling. Train kept rolling. 4 Sealstone, Arven, Kindler, Raihan, all cards worthwhile including. Please tailor to your playstyle. I will play the way how I like to and share with you my thoughts and my excitement for probably the most hyped deck of the year, and I cannot freaking wait. So until next time, guys, take care, and we'll see you for another deck profile.